Hello, members of the league. This is your commish here. I with their draft coming up tomorrow, even though Mr. Derek Laurie Naberta thought it was tonight, I thought I'd do a little mock draft just to finalize everything. I think our picks are going to stay where they are, anyways, for the moment. Um, did a lot of research. I went back through each one of our teams and kind of looked at the different needs. Looked at some of the updated rankings of each of the rookies and their dynasty rankings, this year rankings, etc. I think I probably figured out. Well, maybe not figured out. Who knows? But figure out probably who the best pick would be for each individual team. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. A lot of the needs haven't changed since my last mock draft, but um, at the same time, there were a few slight updates and actually quite a few changes overall as far as the order goes too. So we will start off right away with Mr. Andy Helmholtz in numero uno. His needs have not changed much. Still needs a backup quarterback, needs some wide receiver depth, even really to a point of running back depth. This is probably the weakest I've seen one of Andy's teams in any of the leagues as a whole, just mainly due to lack of depth. I believe with Jason last year had this great starting lineup, but as soon as he started to get a couple injuries, a couple buys here and there, that's where he started to struggle. And unless Andy changes up some things, I think that may be a major impact on him this year too. But nonetheless, I think we all know who he's going to be picking. I know who he's aiming for. Bishop Sankey. He's going to shore up that running back position. Um, he's going to end up with Peterson, going to end up with Martin. Does have some different cap room throughout as well. Not a ton at $78. But that extra running back will help, and then maybe he can shore up his wide receiver position and get that backup quarterback in free agency. Second position, or second draft pick overall, we have Jason Ferguson. Going back to his needs again, we go back to running back primarily. That's what kind of confused me about this trade because I believe Sankey could have really helped him out this year. MJD at the most is going to be splitting time with McFadden. I know Marshawn Lynch is actually going to be having his carries cut back a little bit. It's been said multiple times at this point, and that's all he has at running back right now. So maybe he has a free agent that he's really drilling down in. Maybe he has somebody he's very interested in that he feels like he can get at a good cost, good amount to fit into his budget. But I would not draft any other running backs right now with the number 2 pick. Furthermore, his needs, he has Peyton for this year. He can franchise him if Peyton decides to carry on and Jason decides to carry along with him. And then a wide receiver depth again for him. He does have Decker, although he's not with the Broncos anymore, as we know. Does have Nix looking for a bounce back year, but then it's a big drop off into Burleson and Wheaton, which Wheaton could be a surprise. Um, but still, we're starting 3 or 4 of these guys every single week. So again, depth for Jason overall. Via mine and his conversations, I believe he's going to be taking Sammy Watkins. This is probably one of the tougher picks in the draft overall because half the experts have Watkins, rated a little bit better than Evans, and Evans rated a little bit better than Watkins on the other. I looked at a lot of dynasty franchise type rankings long term, and actually 80% of those, from what I found, have Evans in front of Watkins. Um, but I think Watkins does get a little bit more possible immediate impact because the Bills need it basically overall right now. I have the third pick. I'm looking for a fourth running back for my bye weeks. I need some long-term wide receivers, as I only have, or excuse me, I have 5 wide receivers under 1-year contracts. And then at tight end, I do need some possible long-term contracts. I have Thomas for 1 year. I can franchise him, and Heath Miller for 2. Taking all that in consideration, and again, best player available on the board, I'm going to go with Mike Evans based on this mock draft. I'm going to have the killer pairing of the Buccaneers wide receivers of Evans and Jackson with a tremendous amount of height. Number 4, we have Jared. His needs, he doesn't really have a big name at wide receiver for those big 25, 30-point games, but he does have quite a few guys that are consistently going to get you probably 10 points, 15 points. Goes back to 3 very average tight ends again. Gresham, Finley, Selleck. Uh, Jared really Jared has a very deep team, but he doesn't have the tremendous superstars, besides Forte, that are going to just lead him to a victory. Um, Quarterback position from the last time has now been more shored up, so he has that going for him too. I think he is going to end up drafting Brandon Cooks out of the Saints, New Orleans. He's a big playmaker. He can possibly give the 20-25 point game. He's gonna, take over Darren Sproles' role. Um, he's actually gonna probably play more than Sproles will too, and put up some bigger points. So that's where I expect Jared to go. Scott, he obtained this pick from me, number 5. I know who he has in mind, but his needs, tight end, he has Jordan Reed. Could still be a question mark. He was injured quite a bit last year. And then, believe it or not, running back for Scott, too. He does have Giovanni Bernard, but he's going to be splitting time, as we know. As Shane Vereen, going to be splitting time as well. So he doesn't have the one running back to go to weekly. Again, that could be something he's looking more in free agency for. But the pick, again, I have a strong feeling just from our conversation via our trade talks, how they went. I believe he's going to take Ebron from Detroit. Andy has the number 6 pick. We already went over his needs. He picked a running back first pick. So he's going to swing back around. I believe he will take Jordan Matthews from Philly with his number 6 pick. Andy has been known at times to be a Philly fan. I don't know if he likes Jordan Matthews or not, but I think he has huge potential upside overall. The only reason why he may not pick him, I believe he has Macklin. He does have Jeremy Macklin, so I don't know if he'll take him based on that. Just having 2 Philly wide receivers. If he ends up not taking Matthews, look for him to possibly look at a Beckham Jr. Yeah, maybe like a Beckham Jr. type player overall. Yeah, maybe probably. I'll give him Matthews still because I think he is quite a bit better than the rest of them. But you do have Kelvin Benjamin out there. You do have Beckham Jr. You do have Devontae Adams. So keep each one of those things in mind. Number 7, we have Derek Naberta. And Derek's been very, very adamant that he's going to be getting who he wants at 7 and 10. His needs, Ridley, back to the splitting time argument, is his best option running back, which probably not a good thing. Kyle Rudolph, tight end, no backup. Quarterback, no backup. Wide receiver, he needs overall depth. So who is he going to pick? He does have a pretty big man crush on Devontae Freeman from the Falcons. I believe he will pick him. Try to shore up that running back position. Roger at number 8. He needs overall depth all over the place. He does have a ton of cap room. He's restructured his team. So I believe this is a route he's going to go. Backup quarterback he needs. He needs to solidify his running back positions and needs a stud wideout. His pick, I believe it will be Odell Beckham Jr. from the Giants if Andy picks Matthews. Otherwise, it could be a vice versa type situation. The Hurricane, he needs a 3rd and 4th wide receiver due to his wide receivers who are addicted to drugs. He needs a tight end to replace Witten long term and back him up this year. And then, really some backup running backs at the same time. This one's kind of a tough pick because really it's nobody that's going to help him out necessarily much this year. But again, I know Eric does think long term. He does think franchise dynasty. I think he might go with Carlos Hyde out of San Fran. Again, possibly not a big help this year, but will be solid. And then in the future, he's going to get the carries out in San Fran. Derek Naberta at 10. We've already gone over his needs. He picked a running back at the beginning, number 7. At number 10, I'm still sticking with it. Austin, I can't pronounce his middle first last name, Jenkins, tight end out of Tampa. Tons of potential, tons of possibilities that he can have all over. I know Roger just traded for Timothy Roy, which he may get the start right now, but again, I'm thinking long term, and Derek probably won't win this year, so he has to start loading up for the future. So Jenkins, tight end, Tampa Bay. Number 11, we have Jason. He has already selected Sammy Watkins with the number 2 pick. Here I think he starts to get more into the long-term running back situation, as we talked about MJD and Lynch. He's going to go with Jeremy Hill, running back Cincy, taking over Jarvis Green Ellis's position. Going to get the rock a lot of the goal line, going to get the hard carries. I believe he could be a a normal 10 to 12 point scorer at least every single week. So Bernard, kind of a smaller running back. He may end up getting hurt on occasion, in which case this helps Hill's status long term. And finally, with the last pick in the draft, as I'm kind of going a little bit quicker because this is getting long, back to myself. Got this via Mike Samuels. I've already selected Mike Evans for my long-term wide receiver. I'm looking for a fourth running back for my bye weeks, possible potential depth. Um, and the two best tight ends are far off the board, so I'm not going to look that way. I'm looking at Terrence West from Cleveland. In this particular mock draft, that means Kelvin Benjamin would still be out there for somebody to possibly get later on. Trey Mason, Cody Lattimore, something like that. No quarterbacks were selected. We have Kadeem Carey for the Bears. We have Andre Williams. I'm only mentioning all this because we have talked a little bit in conversation about having a two-round rookie mock draft, or excuse me, two-round rookie draft. I just named, I believe, 6 or 7 more players that any one of us, I think, would appreciate having in the second round. So consider that. Think about that a little bit. Davante Adams, another one. I believe that should be something that we should discuss once it comes to free agency draft here coming up in a few weeks. Appreciate it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the basic mock draft. I think we have it pretty nailed out. Looking forward to Andy's video selection coming within the next, what is that, 24? Yeah, coming by Sunday night, 11:59. Thanks, guys.